we have Rena's in the house. Talents with us, and they're like our original dream team. So we're so lucky to have them here, and we love you so much. Please know that. For those of us attending in person, we're going to continue to have the doors open for fresh air. We're going to be wearing masks inside. We're going to do air hugs only. And for the peace song, we're going to do hands with our heart. Soul Center's new class, Satiating Prayer, the Science of Effective Prayer. We will be exploring what it means to pray effectively and align with the experiences of the benevolently satiated prayer. You'll deepen your spiritual practice and learn how to shift your energy to receive the answer to your prayers. It also qualifies for the chaplaincy program class. It's beginning not this Wednesday, the Wednesday after, March the 16th, and it'll be from 6 to 8 p.m. And there's more information at soulcenteroc.com. Reverend Keith's affirmative prayer is every morning, Monday through Saturday. He even does it on Saturday, from 9:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific time. Access can be found on Soul Center's Facebook page, on our Thursday newsletter, Zoom link, and also on soulcenteroc.com. A Course in Miracles with the Keely Beckwith meets every Tuesday night from 6 to 8 p.m. Pacific time. You can join in at any time. There's no registration. Just show up. You'll be glad you did. And you can get more information to the link at soulcenteroc.com. Nature and Meditation Retreat is coming up March the 25th and 26th. I'm showing here there's 2 spots left, but I'm told there's only one. And this is going to be an awesome Friday afternoon and evening in Ventura with an incredible boat ride on Saturday morning to the Santa Cruz Island, followed by light hiking, meditation, fellowship, and more. Visit keithhorowitz.com for details. The Enlightened Kids Village meets every week, and our teen program meets the first Sunday of the month, so we'll be seeing any teens here later today. We also want to welcome the incredible Jessie Moon, who was here last week with our kids, and she'll be back next Sunday, but she brings powerful mindfulness training to our children. She's trained with the master for over 20 years, and Jessie is known for helping children learn yoga and mindfulness skills. She coaches children and parents, and she's the very best OC has to offer. She'll be with the kids the 4th Sunday of every month, and then sporadically in between. Our amazing, welcome to Jessie. Our amazing and dedicated prayer chaplains are here holding a sacred space to support you. For private, individual, and confidential prayer, they'll be available on the patio after service. They will be wearing the blue shawls, so you'll be able to recognize them easily. Also, any prayer requests, if you're not here or feel the need, can be sent to soulcenterocprayers@gmail.com. We're having a prayer chaplaincy orientation this Wednesday, March the 9th, from 6:30 to 7:30 on Zoom. Join us for a presentation on how to become a certified licensed prayer chaplain and how this can assist you to your own healing or coaching, counseling, or therapy practices. Information and Zoom link are at soulcenteroc.com under events. For our weekly newsletter, go to soulcenteroc.com, or you can sign up at our welcome table right outside the door. We are so grateful for your tithing to Soul Center. It makes a huge difference. It not only sustains Soul Center, but also contributes to Soul Center's building fund. Tithing may be made on our secure website, by text, by mailing a check, or on Venmo at Soul Center OC. As a 501c3 organization, tithing is tax deductible. Please contact info@soulcenteroc.com for your donation statement, or if you're here, you can see Paulette and she can get that for you. For auto tithers and those who donate online via text, please, if you're so inclined, grab a butterfly from our welcome desk and place it in the offering basket representing your tithe. Congratulations to Sharon Fuller for winning the awesome Love Basket fundraising basket last week. There's more to come. We'd also like to thank everyone who contributed, who sold tickets, to Birgit, who's the Vanna White of auction baskets, for doing what she has done. And if you have any ideas for future auctions and fundraisers, please just bring them on. Let's see, we'd like to mention that, we also made around $350 on that auction. So, also, I want to mention that daylight savings time is next Sunday, so if you have any clocks you need to spring forward or move forward, do it, because we don't want to miss you. You would be an hour behind. Yeah, okay. SEVA, if you're looking to serve in this loving community where all are welcome, join our volunteer team. You will gain new and meaningful friendships. Contact Birgit, our volunteer coordinator lead, or you can go to info@soulcenteroc.com. To our founders, Jessica and her mother, who gained her angel wings recently. You've graced us by realizing your vision of Soul Center. Thank you for embracing and welcoming us all. And now, let's join our musicians and sing the congregational song.
Good morning, Soul Center. It is a beautiful day to be vulnerable and open. Here's one of my favorite songs from Far Beyond. There was a in my life, thought I had to do it all for myself. I didn't know the grace of God was sufficient. I didn't know the love of God was there. But now I can say, if you're discouraged,
Swami Chi Vilasananda entitled, Who is Looking Through Your Eyes? If a person does not know how to keep the senses of perception in check, they can carry him away at the drop of a hat into the wilderness of samsara, the world of illusion. Controlling the senses is no simple matter. It is quite difficult to see something without absorbing it into your system. The eyes are the windows of the soul, and most of the time the windows are wide open. So anything at all can blow in. Very few people can control this. Therefore, for most seekers, the challenge is to keep the eyes from resting on something that they don't want to imbibe. It is very difficult to protect yourself from the things that appear before you when they are not what you want to see. The intense desire of your eyes is forever pulling you towards sights that will get you in trouble. On the spiritual path, each seeker must overcome the inevitable difficulties of appearances and what he thinks he sees. It is not what you see that gets you into trouble, it's what you think you see that gets you into trouble. You don't always know what to do with the information provided by your eyes. In the Viveka Chudamani, Sri Shankaracharya explains, in order to know a jar is a jar, are any special conditions required? Only that our means of perception, the eyes, shall be free from defect. This alone reveals the object. Let us turn within and pray. I'm so grateful for this morning. Beautiful sunshiny day. Grateful for that little chill in the air. Grateful that we have a safe and wonderful, loving place to be vulnerable, to share this experience of life, this journey, a safe and special and wonderful place. I love Soul Center. Woo! Okay. So grateful to know and to bask in the knowing that God is all there is. That one presence, one power, one magnificent source, the love intelligence governing the universe, Mother, Father, God of all creation. God is in everything, as everything, everywhere, moving in through and as me, moving in through and as each and every one of us here. I know that we are all one with the divine. It's such a wonderful feeling to know that there is a place that is so safe to rest in, that is a breath away, to have that feeling that you are right there with God. I know this day is a perfect day, a wonderful day. I bless this service. I bless Reverend Keith. I bless our ears as we are receiving the message, our eyes as we are taking it all in, the music, the musicians. We are so blessed. We are blessed to be the keepers of love and peace and joy in the world, knowing that as we manifest that peace within ourselves, as we develop and settle into our spiritual practices and grow with peace and love and joy, as we are expanding in these wonderful qualities, we are helping the world expand, and we know that we all need that right now. I am blessed beyond, and I know each and every one of us are as well. So I'm declaring this day is perfect, holy, and wonderful, and I simply let it be, and so it is. Amen. All right, now it is time for our agape affirmation. You will find them in your program and coming up on the screen. I will speak a line and we'll all repeat them aloud together with sincerity and acceptance. Rise up. Today, I am shaken awake to the brilliance of my own being. I reveal it fully.
Today I am shaken awake to the brilliance of my own being. I reveal it fully.
The universe is prosperous, progressive, and on my side. I am abundance.
The universe is prosperous, progressive, and on my side. I am abundance.
Divine love lives at the center of my being. I shine.
Divine love lives at the center of my being. I
flows from my oneness of God, I am charged.
A deep sense of empowerment flows from my oneness with God. I am charged.
The high vibration of health and wholeness expresses as my body temple, I am whole.
The high vibration of health and wholeness expresses my body temple. I am whole.
In all things I am grateful, I am free.
In all things I am grateful, I am free.
And so it is.
And so it is.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
we have just come out of Black History Month, and we are always celebrating some faction of society that deserves it, and now we are in the month of celebrating women. And so, women power, we're all about it. And so I just want to welcome you to March. We are now, our theme of the month is growing in goodness. That's what we're choosing, and that's the theme of our community, is growing in goodness. That's what we choose. I'm going to invite you to please take that as your intention to always grow in goodness. And today's topic is opposition or opportunity. Your opinion matters. Your opinion matters because your opinion is where you make your choices from. And so we always want to be keenly and acutely aware of where that's coming from. But I first wanted to say welcome. We are an Agape affiliate. So if those of you who are familiar with Agape, we are part of the New Thought Ageless Wisdom Teachings, which means we are a trans-denominational community which honors the teachings, the truth teachings, capital T truth teachings, from all the religions and all of the mystical traditions. Mystical can be shamanism, and it can be all the rest of those mystical teachings, and especially the ones of the forefathers and mothers of our movement that started a little over 200 years ago with mystics who were seekers, seeking of wanting to know the truth that sets you free as a tangible, personal experience. And that is the wholeness and the allness of what our journey is to personify, personalize the divine, your soul, in this body, in this world, in this life, should you so choose. It is a choice. You can pretend, you can put on blinders, you can say, no, God, don't worry, I'd rather just suffer and struggle and strive and lack limitation. Or you can say, no, I'm going to give all that up, and I'm going to explore the laws that govern the universe. And of course, that would require the law of transmutation to let go of things that hold us back. In our teachings, we follow the mystical traditions, and the topic for today is about divine right perception in its essence. Its essence is to be able to say, when you come across anything, especially if you come across a crisis, whether that's a personal crisis or whether it's a global crisis, I want to talk to you about how do we move into divine right perception about that. And it is all in our spiritual practice. We have to double down. We have to make it exceedingly important because, as it said in the reading, it is not it is the perception that you have about the thing that can get you into trouble if you have erroneous perception. Because erroneous perception will take you down a rabbit hole, which will, as I'd like to just use, that there is in the Hindu scriptures, there's a parable of a young man who lived in a village in ancient times, and he was walking down a road. And in the middle of the road, he saw this grand, big, venomous snake. And it was just standing in the, arced up. I don't know, they don't really stand, but had his head up. And it was looking as though he was, and he looked fierce and saying he was unwavering and unmoving. And so this young man ran back to the village, and he had remembered that as he was growing up, his family, especially his mom, had told him, there are venomous snakes out there, and they will get you. They got some of our ancestors, and they will get you if you're not careful. So he told the villagers that there was this big venomous snake in the middle of the road, and it was going to come to the village and get everyone and kill everyone if they didn't do something about it. And so they were starting to discuss and figure out what they were going to do. He didn't have time. He decided, I'm going to be the hero. I'm going to go down there and I'm going to slay that snake. So he went down, he was down the road, and he said, I'm going to need something. I need a weapon to clobber the snake. So he looked up in the tree, and he saw this big branch. And he reached for the branch to break it off. It wasn't a big branch, it was a snake. And it bit him, and he died. The villagers didn't know this. They continued down the road, and when they got to the road, they found that it wasn't a snake in the middle of the road. It was a piece of rope that another villager had dropped on his way to the village. What is the meaning of the story? The meaning of the story is his perception from fear. He was so afraid. He'd been indoctrinated and taught about these things that make us afraid that he thought what he saw, which was an illusion, was the venomous snake. And then he was so consumed by that, he couldn't see correctly. So when he actually did reach up into the tree to get the branch, he also couldn't see clearly. And ultimately, it was his fear that did him in. This is what we are here to overcome. We are to move into what I think is really, those of you are probably, some of you are familiar with the mystical teachings, the Hawaiian teachings of Ho'oponopono.
Yeah.
Ho'oponopono is really where you allow forgiveness and what they call taking total responsibility. Now, a lot of people have a problem with total responsibility. Some of you have probably heard the story of Dr. Len, who was in Hawaii back in the mid-'80s, and he was assigned the task of a psychiatric hospital that was in really bad shape. All of the people in the psychiatric ward, they were running the asylum. They were all just really in a bad way. They would attack, they would yell, they would scream, they would do all these things. And he had studied and was the mystical teachings of Ho'oponopono. And as he studied the teachings of total responsibility, which is the disillusion of that there's a me and a you, that we're going to go into a place where we understand that I am one with you, and when I heal error in me, it will heal error in you, because we're all one. And just as we were on the last Wednesday, when we were doing our vigil for Ukraine, it's our own consciousness that as we move into the fifth field, the societal field of energy. So the first field of energy is your own human energy field, from your soul star to your earth star, all your chakras, physical, emotional, mental. That's the first field. The second field is you and one other person. Whether it's your spouse, your best friend, it's a field that you share with one other person, and it has all the same attributes as the field of your own singular energy field. It's like the Russian nesting ball dolls that are all stacked up inside. They're all mirror and holographic and reflective of what's going on in all of the fields, because really there's only one field. But from the human perspective, it often helps us to see that how we dissolve the 6 degrees of separation is by taking the 6 degrees of unification, where we start dissolving those fields, the third field being your family, the fourth field being your tribe, and the fifth field being society. And so we're woven in. There's no way to not be a part of it. So in that fifth field, this Dr. Len in Hawaii, as he was looking, he decided to really go into that. And so some of you are very familiar. People want to know, what is it that you actually do? And basically, there's 4 steps in this, where you start with, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. Those are the 4 steps, not too dissimilar to our affirmative prayer. Now, anybody who sits there and just says those words, you're not going to get a whole lot of mileage out of that. You got to get into a feeling tone. What was he saying, I'm sorry for? What was he saying, forgive me for? He was saying, as he went through each file, he would take a file out on each of the people that were in the hospital, and he would know the truth of that. There is no error, there is no illness, there is no madness, there is no psychoses in the divine. And as he embodied that, forgiveness being an energy of transmutation to lift me out of holding that error in my consciousness. Now that ripples out into the collective consciousness, into this field. In this case, that would have been the 4th field, because he's working with people that are part of his tribe. Your tribe, in this case, happens to be the people of the hospital. And so as he held it, all of a sudden, one by one, everybody started to awaken, because he was holding it with such resolve that it started to affect them and wake them up. Now, the problem with this some people have is taking total responsibility can be a big challenge. There was somebody on one of the blogs that had read about that story and said, how dare you, I'm not going to take responsibility for somebody else's actions, la la la. We're not asking anybody to take responsibility for anybody else's actions or their behavior. We're asking you to take responsibility for your consciousness and how you see the world. There was a client of mine that was going through a challenging time with a friend of hers. It wasn't actually when she came in. She came in because of a relationship with her husband, but she was having a challenging time as we segued over in exploration to see what was going on. And she was ready. I'm done. I have a girlfriend. We're done. That's it. I've had it. She is so self-absorbed. She never listens to me. Whenever we go out, she has no concept of time. Oftentimes they would go out, and the one girlfriend who was really upset with the other one would say, oh, I've got something I'm doing later on today. I've got to be so I'm going to have to leave. And the other girlfriend would just go on and on and on as though there was nothing else. She just had all the time in the world, had no regard for her. She would always show up late. She had no regard for her girlfriend. So when that time was coming, when she needed to leave, she had no regard. So she was just like, well, I'll keep going. And she finally would have to say, I really have to go now. And she really was just feeling excluded, not seen, not heard. And so I was like, you know what? Let's explore. Now, I wasn't using the Ho'oponopono as far as the way they do it exactly, but doing it in our New Thought Ageless Wisdom teachings, where you start to hold into that field. In this case, it would have been the second field. And you hold into the field. How do you want to know this person? What way do you want to see them? How do you want to experience? Those are ways that you can kind of get there. You also have to let go of your perception. Now, this can be a little bit of work to do. And some people, like this gentleman who was like, I don't want to take on that responsibility. That's too much. That's too heavy. Well, we're all going to have to do it at some point. We're all going to have to reconcile every field with every relationship, with everything, whether that is your dog, your cat, with the animal kingdom, with the ecosystems, whatever it is. We're going to have to all come around and understand that, as it says in Scripture, no one knows the things of God except the Spirit of God. No one knows the things of God except the Spirit of God. When you really feel into that, there's the Spirit is the consciousness of the divine. And the way it says it in the Course in Miracles is, do not make the mistake of thinking you understand what you see. For it is not unless you allow the Holy Spirit to interpret what you see, then you will understand. So when you allow holy interpretation, which sees no error, this is what it means to hold vigil. To hold vigil is an unbroken awareness of the divine about, and fill in the blank. In our case, last Wednesday, we were holding an unbroken awareness, and then we were using a little bit of activation to literally take that energy, because some of us like a little bit more of a visceral thing. We want to kind of see the results of our action. I remember years ago, I still do this, which is, I call it, well, a girlfriend of mine, it's a little embarrassing, but we call it pixieing. And what pixieing means is, it's kind of like random acts of kindness, except you really deliberately go out there. Sometimes we would just go and leave a little bunch of money somewhere where we knew somebody would walk by, and we'd hide and wait for them to find it. Other times we'd go to a restaurant and we'd leave like a $50 tip on a $40 meal. Other times we'd go to a car wash. I remember one time we gave the tip $100. And so, what we would do is we would sit off, because we wanted to see them oh my God. That's the embarrassing part. But sometimes you just want some immediate gratification. So, it's kind of fun to see. Now, technically, in a real evolved way, you just know it's done. How grateful it is to bless people, to go the extra mile, to just be there. Do something beyond, it's the rules are leave 20%, 22% if it was really good, whatever it might be now. We want to just really stretch, but then in our spiritual practice, we want to be able to hold. Also hold. I don't want to leave something for someone knowing that they are impoverished. I want to use it as a catalyst that they're seeing infinite potential, infinite possibility within their own selves. So as we did this work, this young woman, we started saying, okay, let's go ahead, and what do you want to infuse into the field of your relationship with this girlfriend? How do you want to know her? How do you want to see her? And as we started to infuse it, one of the other pieces of the puzzle was she never called her, she always, the one who's always, not there for her, would always wait for her to call and make wrong. Let's not make anybody bad. Nobody behaves poorly or badly unless something's going on in their lives. Because if you had no issues, you would always be conscious, in compassion, available all the time. True consciousness, when you're illuminated in Christ consciousness, Buddha consciousness, whatever you want to call it, you cannot be not available to the truth. If the guy in the parable had been available to the truth, he wouldn't have seen a rope as a snake, he would have seen it as a rope and brought it back to his friend, and they would have been happy ever after with all that energy. We want to make sure. Now, once upon a time, years ago, as I decided I want to have sacred, holy relationships, I really, really, really want to have sacred, holy relationships. I was out at a supermarket. I was getting in my car with my groceries. I was in a really good mood. Have you ever been like in a really good mood? And then all of a sudden, bam! Something came along. Oh, I was having such a good day until you came along. And that's what happened. So I was getting in my car door, I knocked a brand new Mercedes. And no real damage. There was like, I looked over, I didn't really see anything. So I closed my door, paying no never mind. The guy in the car, there was a guy in the car, and he heard the thump, and he got out and he looked, and there was about this big, maybe 2 millimeters, 3 millimeters worth of the tiniest little bit of a white, because my car was white and his was black, and all of a sudden, and I didn't know that he had come out and around, and then all of a sudden on my driver's side window, boom, 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 oh my God, and I was totally startled, because I was getting ready to make my way out of there. And so he's boom, 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 and I roll down my window very cautiously because there's a threat out there. And this threat, he was steaming angry. And right then and there, I just sent up a prayer. I did an energetic connection, and I just said, all right, fill me with whatever it is I need to know. Because I had already made an agreement with myself as to what I was going to do. I wanted sacred, holy relationships, and I didn't want to have reactions. So I did that, and as he was yelling, he kept saying, you're such a, part of my expression, but I can't edit it, you're such an ass, you're an ass. He must have said it at least 12 times over the course of how I had defiled him, how I had wronged him. And so I sat there and I was like, all right, God. Now, first of all, before I got to that centered place, I was like, you must be out of your mind. You are the aggressor. Nobody in the world would think that I am wrong here. You're the one who's wrong, and this is deeply out of proportion to what is going on. But then I got to that centered place, and all of a sudden, and this was a very mystical experience, I felt like this energy just go boom. And it was right when I said, all right, and I connected, and then all of a sudden, I went from being an ass to being a badass. And I was a badass because I said to him, I am so sorry. I could feel with every fiber of my being that his reaction had nothing to do with what was going on. It had to do with he felt ignored, unseen, very similar to the girl that I was working with. Unheard, taken advantage of, that he didn't matter. And I felt like I need to let him know that he matters. And so I said, I am so sorry. I really didn't mean to do that. Is there anything I can do to make this better? Now, when somebody comes at you blazing, full steam, you're wrong, you're bad, you're an ass, to turn into a spiritual badass, you really have to it takes a little strength to get there. And I did, and then all of a sudden when I said that, he just went, like he didn't even know what to do with himself. He was expecting a fight. He was expecting to be made wrong. And I was like, and so as I drove away, because what had happened in that mystical experience too, was all the times that I had actually been an ass growing up started to come up for transmutation. In that moment, I wasn't being that. But had I ever been that? Yeah. I had been many, many times. One time, I was pulling into a gas station. This will be the last story. Now, granted, I was 17 years old, and I was smug and a little arrogant, and if you were my friend, you were really good company.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was also, what's the word I'm looking for? Entitled. I was a very entitled teenager. And I was one of those teenagers I was talking about a few weeks ago that thought they knew everything. Anyway, there was this big, huge truck. It was like one of those Ford 250, something like that, really big pickup truck. And I really wasn't paying attention to who was inside, but he was headed towards the pump. And I swooped in my little car and got in the pump and was like, Well, I'm sitting there pumping, and then all of a sudden this big, pardon my stereotyping, redneck guy that was at least 6'2" came over and went, boom, and punched me right in the face.
Wow.
Now, I didn't think at the time that I deserved that, but the energy that I was putting out, kind of like, I'm better than you, too bad for you, like whatever. Now, never going to advocate for violence, but I knew that there was a correction through crisis. Now, back then, if I had allowed the correction through crisis, was this being an opposition? Was something opposing me, or was this an opportunity to grow? And the opportunity to grow from that particular experience didn't leave, it just sat there and waited until the guy yelled at me in the parking lot. And then I was like, oh my God, we're gonna clean up all of this in one swoop as well as everything else. There's nothing better than being in a humble state where you can say, you know what? Because I started thinking about all the times I've been yelled at, you're this, you're that, blah, blah, blah. And oftentimes it hurts really bad when somebody tells you you're an awful person. And that means if it hurts, it means you believe it on some level. And so that's what requires transmutation. And it requires understanding that nobody does anything bad unless, like we know, this is just practice, this psychology 101. So we want to just go ahead and make sure that we're always looking for the opportunity, that there's nothing against us. We know that in the spiritual law, nothing is against us in the divine. Nothing is against anything. And so as we're holding vigil, and we are going to schedule another event for Vigil for Ukraine, we're going to use, so that's in the 5th field, but we want all of our fields to be clear. And the reason that we're looking at it from the field point of view is because oftentimes we think like, maybe we're meeting somebody, we're going to get married, we're spouses, so now instead of me against the world, it's us two against the world. And then maybe you're going to have your children, now it's us against the world. And it's like, no, there's no us or me against the world. It's us with the world together, and to love our neighbors as we love ourselves. That's what we're saying yes to on a grand and glorious basis. And, another line in Scripture is, thou shalt love thy Lord God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, with all thy mind. And this is where we want to let that in, is in our mind. So I'm going to invite you to allow divine right perception. I'm going to invite you to allow the essence of Ho'oponopono to have its way through you, so that divine right perception, because if you master that, you master divine right perception, you will have mastered being in the world but not of the world. It is the most liberating experience. We're all going to say yes to that as we, move in to the prayer field. And we're all going to say yes to being spiritual badasses. All right?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Oh, how good it is to take this moment as we open our hearts, our bodies, our emotions, and our divine sensorium, the inner eye, the inner ear, that we may always and only see and know the truth about everything and everyone, that we channel that so profoundly that wherever we are, God is. We take a moment as we remember the truth that the universe is friendly, it is kind, it is good, it is benevolent, and it is bliss, and there is no exception. No matter what is going on in the temporal world, God is. We take a moment and we remember the truth that we, each and every one of us, born in the image and likeness of God, there's an infallible perfection within us that has never been hurt or harmed, that has never perceived anything erroneously. The soul is always whispering. The still small voice is always saying, this is the truth. This is the truth. And so we must listen to that. It is what sets us free. And I am grateful that each of us came wired, loaded, coded, to feel, kneel, yes, we will kneel to that. Feel, see, hear, and know the holy truth about everything and everyone. How grateful I am to know that something wonderful is taking place right here, right now, that each and every one of us is saying yes to a greater and grander, more glorious experience of only being motivated, only being enthusiasted by inspiration. Inspiration, we allow it to be the providential awareness, but we allow the surface mind and the higher mind to be one. And it is win-win for us. We allow ourselves to be in divine right perception. Win. Our neighbors, our friends, our family members, everyone. And so I'm grateful to know that something wonderful has taken place here today. We simply allow it all to be good. We allow it all to be now. We ground that goodness, and we choose to always grow and expand in benevolent, brilliant, beautiful, optimistic, holy ways. This is the nature of life. This is the nature of our lives. We ground it so down to our Earth star, and we allow it to be so benevolently, brilliantly, elegantly, immediately, immaculately by saying, and so I let it be, and so it is, Amen, 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 Ashe, Aho, Mahalo, Shalom, Hotep, and Hallelujah. The word give to area code 669-342-2157. You can also Venmo under the business. You have to look under business. You won't find it under personal. Soul Center OC. At Soul Center OC on Venmo. You can go to our safe and secure website. All of this is safe and secure. You can give us cold hard cash. You can mail a check into Soul Center. All tax deductible and all deeply and gratefully received. With that, we're going to have the ushers go forward and bring Rena back up. Thank you.
Come on,
that the universe is abundant, never withholding, always giving, always blessing, always praising and raising. And we say yes to being praised and raised like never before. Grateful for this offering, knowing that just as it says on the promissory note, in God we trust. We trust in ever-expanding good. We trust and know our building is at hand. We trust and know all programs are met. We know that our beloved angel Patricia is looking over, smiling brilliantly. We know this is the day we allow it to be good. We bless this offering, we give thanks, and know that personally, individually, and collectively, we allow it to grow and return to us multiplied, benevolently and brilliantly. And we agree by saying, and so it is.
So it is. Amen.
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Great weather out today. We had a great but small group. We kind of did two activities today. We started off by creating like a prayer paper. We put our own personal intentions on a slip of paper, and we put it on a piece of paper so that throughout the next meetings we can pray for the things that we want to see, and it's our own personal prayer. And then the next thing we talked about is crystals. You know, I'm wearing a crystal for rose quartz today. It's a symbol for self-love and love of other people. And so we created our own crystals of the intentions that we want to set.
All right. Did you want to share your piece that you wrote?
All our loved ones are filled with abundant joy, peace, and happiness.
So we have a prayer, basically we'll all have our own intention that we want to set and mend together a prayer so that we can say that at the beginning of every teen group. And it's a little piece of all of us put together to make a really special prayer.